So back again to the Baraza 2022 at a beautiful place in South Africa. I hope that you are here. It was a beautiful event, and today is the last day. And next to me I have IKAL. IKAL.
Yes.
From which country?
From Kenya.
Kenya. So far, your impression before you tell us why you are here, who you are. What is your impression so far of South Africa and the movement?
Of course, of South Africa, it has it's a catch-22 because we sit in a space that is very privileged. That we are in a place that access to water, electricity, the security. Whilst most of South Africans, because of the inequality, do not share the same pleasure or privilege, and in many cases you'll find many South Africans, many Johannesburg residents would never have access to this space. So again, it's the inequality that we continue to fight for, whilst it's good weather and everything, but of course the challenges in a life of Utu and Ubuntu. How is it that I am because you are, yet at the same time I sit in a place of privilege in your own country.
Yes.
Yet you can't.
Okay. And so far the conference, does it reach and match your expectation?
Yes, the conference reaches, it matches my expectations, and I think that the biggest challenge is, again, access. Many people who could have been here were not able to be here. And it is a pity, mostly because of the restrictions related to visas. Yet the conversation would have been much richer, because it's deepening the African conversation of Africanism and the need to reflect on the current crisis and just that need for solidarity within the continent.
So now, who is IKAL?
IKAL is a pastoralist woman who has been fighting for indigenous rights in Kenya. But of course, Kenya becomes the boundary that we work within. However, because of the solidarity, we work in Uganda, in Ethiopia, in South Sudan, because of the nature of who we are as pastoralists living within the Turkana Basin.
Okay.
Yes.
And so what is your structure name, and what is the vision, purpose, and dream in long term, short term, and medium, if you can go there?
So as we work with Friends of Lake Turkana, because the region is Lake Turkana, but our vision is really to make sure that the pastoralist voice, not only within the East African region, but pastoralists within the continent, are actually part of the social movement, because the struggle for economic, social, political, and ecological justice is as much a part of the pastoralist populations as it is a part of everyone else. So we continue to struggle in terms of migration, we continue to struggle for water, we suffer the climate crisis, we are suffering patriarchy, all those things, the intersectionality of all the struggles. And so really me being here is really to make sure that we can be, and I'm privileged to be here representing the voices of pastoralists, but making sure that the pastoralist voice really is not excluded from the social movement, but also from the Africanism that we are trying to work together.
Yes. And so far, in terms of challenges and restrictions that you're speaking about, will you say that it was an easy journey, or is a very hard journey, but at the end you might have the light?
It is a hard journey, because I sort of have to move from my hometown to the city just to get the visa, and then go back to my hometown, then wait to travel again. So it is a challenging journey. It is expensive, it is time-wise also, but in the end, being here, it is a relief to hear that it is not only my personal struggle, but a struggle of many people.
And in terms of what you call that, how is it to receive your work on your communities and around in the region? Would you say is welcomed, or is still a lot of...
Oh no, the solidarity within my people is welcomed, and especially now with the drought.
Yes.
So you see it in international media that East Africa is suffering a drought, Somalia, Ethiopia, Kenya. So people start to recognize that struggle, when you talk about food security, is really economic, social, political, ecological insecurity that has led to the food security that is mentioned. That the narrative within the West, the global North, uses it as food security, but in our context it is ecological, economic, social, and political.
There's a lot.
So it's a lot. It's different from that's the summary of food security. And so when I go back home and when I am here, they know that is the position that we are pushing. But at the same time, when I go back home, it's again how we continue to build, how we continue to build that solidarity amongst ourselves, but also make sure that we're not fighting alone, and we're always bringing in, we're opening up the doors, because again, our homes not necessarily don't have doors. So we know that we are opening up the space for others to be allies, but for others to help us, you know, build on our traditional knowledge to come up with solutions.
Okay. So what do you expect about such a movement like Baraza and people? I think it was also a nice place to network.
Yes.
So what will be your expectation and what will be your hopes?
My hope is that we're building more allies, that our story is told across borders, that then and others see their struggle in us as we see our struggle in them. And so being here, I can see my struggle even within Francophone Africa, within ourselves, the Anglophone Africa, but also across borders. That it is actually, that struggle sits in different spaces, but it is a common struggle, and what has been the challenge is how do we build a collective voice?
Will you say that it's a time for Africa to share their experience, their challenges, so that they can work together to find solution for a better Africa?
I think it is a time for, it has always been a time for Africa to build a collective voice. I think we are fragmented by an imagination of our different spaces. I think it is time to embrace the different spaces that we are in and see that different space, the diversity, as the strength that can help us build a collective and collaborative voice.
So I've got a question that has been always asked to us to ask to people, engage people like you in terms of the integration of African in Africa. Will you say that Africa pushing for a common agenda of free circulation of peoples and goods will help people to get access to better life, better service?
So Africa has always been integrated because the extraction of our resources passes through our own borders. I think what we now need to push for is people and goods, goods and services. Because as it is, if you look at between one border, you find a community sits across two borders. Their traditions, their cultures, their languages is shared. But then somebody, because that fragmentation was not ours to do. We did not create that fragmentation. We did not create that border.
Yes, exactly.
So because we did not create that border, we are now struggling to deal with it. I think one of the most interesting things at this time would be, as we imagine what that free movement would look like, can we imagine what it was and build from that? Because now we've thrown out the baby with the bathwater as we fought colonialism. So perhaps it's to look at what did colonialism do? What did we have before?
Exactly.
And how do we build from there?
Okay. So before we leave you, I know you're a busy person. What will you say to young female African in terms of the integration and a coalition of these beautiful continents so far? What will be your message to them?
I think for me, to young African women, is embed your struggle in who you are. Be unapologetically you. Because once your struggle is basically innate to you, then you're not struggling to, you're not fighting a narrative, you are in a space because it is your space to be. I think many times we find ourselves always trying to put ourselves in a box of economy or ecology, but the struggle it's an economic struggle. When I have to feed myself, it's economic. When I need to, till my land, it is ecological, it is environmental. When my personal is political. So everything, just be you unapologetically and embrace who you are. Don't apologize for it.
Thank you. So if now we want to be involved with your movement or participate to your fight, where can you find you? What is your social media?
So numbers? As long as you search for Friends of Lake Turkana, you'll find our social media, our websites, everything, that our work as a whole, but also you will be, this is a space where you can find the stories of the people. Because the organization is just but an umbrella, a facilitator of communities' voices. But then that's where you can get and interact with communities.
So thank you very much for your time, and hope to see you next time.
Thank you.